9 o'clock, November 6th, and we're calling to order the meeting of NID. Not on the agenda, but I'd like everybody to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance after what the nation just experienced. Oh, I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good reaffirmation. So, roll call, please.
Here.
Two.
Here.
Here.
Here. Thank you. Consent agenda.
Mr. President, I'll move the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Public comment. Seeing none, public comments closed. Roll call, please.
Two.
Aye.
Aye. One.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Now we'll go to general orders. And 3A, Division 4, Director Vacancy. And this will be interviews and appointment, conduct interviews, and consider appointment to fill the vacancy. Take it away, Jennifer.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for all attending. We originally had 3 candidates, and 2 of the candidates had withdrawn from further consideration. That was Sam Silver and Chris Foreman. So we have our last candidate here, and his name is Earl Stevens. He's a longtime Lincoln resident, and I will turn it back over. The board does have a list of the questions, and then each board member's name is listed next to a question. We thought it'd be nice if the board rotates the asking of the questions. And then Mr. Stevens, if you would like to, whatever you're more comfortable with, you can sit down by Greg or you can stand at the podium.
Probably recorded. Well, that's a better mic.
Yeah, and that's
sitting down
video.
a little.
It's probably more comfortable.
Yeah.
Sit down.
So, that's good.
Good morning.
Earl,
Morning.
yeah. Earl, it is great to meet you. Thank you for stepping forward. And we have a lot of business to do going forward. And I think a lot of us are aware of how much we will have to be working in the future. But I guess the first one is, let us know about you. What's your background? Last 5-10 years, your history?
Yes. Well, I've been in the Lincoln area since the early 70s. I'm part of a 3rd generation of farmers in the area. My background is basically engineering. I've got an undergraduate degree from San Diego State University. I've got a master's degree in engineering that includes hydrogeology from Cal State Long Beach. I attended grade school in high school in Lincoln, went to Sierra College. After I got my master's degree, I came back to the Lincoln area, started an engineering company, had up to 25 employees, which is a challenge, and basically ran that company for 31 years. I've been farming at our current place, it's only 10 acres, since 2006. I grow mandarins. I used to grow hops, but you can't grow hops in decomposed granitic soils. It's free draining, they wilt back. Yeah. So I took the hops out. I've got some stone fruit in. I also grow on-vine pumpkins that we do for a pumpkin patch. So I've been able to convert a 10-acre parcel into an active farm that supports agritourism that can support itself. So I have a winery brewery, Dueling Dogs Brewing Company, that also does a farm stand on vine pumpkin patch in the fall. I'm on the Placer County Ag Commission. I've been on there for 2 terms, I believe it is now. And I'm just here to help if I can.
Great. So your experience, how relevant is to NID and how will you fit in?
One of the clients that I had during my engineering career was Nevada Irrigation District. That was a few years ago, but I have inspected almost every one of the hydro facilities I've been back in the Bowman tunnels. I had to look at the oil valves and make sure there was no oil spills that would make it to navigable waters of ways of the state. I've mapped a lot of the ditches and stuff like that. So I have some familiarity with the district, not as much with the water distribution side. But my background in engineering and in my engineering career, I got familiar with the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. I've done groundwater pumping tests. I've done saltwater intrusion. I've done surface water infiltration designs, etc. So I think I have a fairly well-balanced engineering background, geology background that could assist the district.
Great. Okay, so we're now, we're skipping around a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have our questions in front of you. So hello and welcome. And I'm Ricky Heck, and I've been on the board, I think this is my 7th year. So tell us a little bit why why you specifically are interested, like what led you to want to apply for this position?
Long story is, well, there's a couple of reasons. One, I like a challenge.
Get one.
Two, I'm familiar with enough of the technical side. I have an agricultural background, a business background. I know there's a lot of agricultural and business background on the board. I think I can add some of the engineering geology side of it to it. I also want to help. I see the rate increases that us farmers are getting, and I have some ideas, I hope, that can actually use some of the tailwaters to bring those down as either credits to as a Sigma to the North American Basin or
Interesting.
something of that nature, because I know that ditch tenders are doing a great job, but they can't predict exactly. So they know the Mandarin farmer is going to start watering on Tuesday because the heat temperature is coming up. So they start dropping water out of the headwaters a little early because they know there's a time frame there. But guess what? They don't need as much, so a little bit goes down there. If we could figure out a way to either use that as groundwater recharge and sell that as credits to some of the basins, etc. I think that's a great way to actually cut some costs or bring an additional stream of revenue besides the 4 revenues that NID has right now.
Interesting. Just as a follow-up, I don't see this anywhere on our questions, but I needed to ask. So you're running a brewery. Do you have, what kind of time commitment are you going to be able to make to NID? Wait.
What kind of deliveries can you make?
Well, I'll just tell you that I think our existing board members, we're here an average of about 20 hours a week between meetings, research, reading our packets, asking questions, interacting with management. And I'm wondering if that kind of time commitment is that you have that and can commit to that.
Anybody that has any ambitions or desires has a busy schedule. We have to learn to prioritize those, and we have to learn to say no. I believe I do have that time commitment.
Okay.
I've always been active all my life. I've always been involved. I helped teach my son's competitive soccer, and I helped teach my son's travel baseball team too. So I've talked to the board or one of the board members and one of the former board members, and they've given me an idea of what's involved. I've evaluated. I've also been told beyond what you just said that occasionally going to a MAC meeting or something like that to give an update is also needed. I think during second and fourth Wednesdays, there's a time slot you have to carve out and a little bit prep beforehand and maybe some questions after. I think I can commit to that.
Okay, thank you.
President Johansson, we've gone off our.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Mine's already been answered.
Okay, so I'm going to cross them out as you ask them.
We're speeding right along.
Let's pick it up at number 3.
Well, I think he's.
That's the one he already answered, I think.
He's already answered that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, good morning, Earl. Thank you for coming in. Chris Beerwagon, 6 or 7 years on the board. What is your experience in working with water issues? I think you even answered that a little bit already.
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
Well, during my career as a engineer, I'm a registered civil engineer in California and Nevada. Have been for I don't know how long, but I did a lot of surface water and groundwater rights investigations. I performed and prepared the water uh, sections for both for a lot of the EIRs. I've done the CEQA and the NEPA, so both the federal and the state level. I've done them for cities, tribals, projects, um, farmers, and things like that. But so I think I have a lot of experience in water, not from a legal standpoint. I understand how the technical side of it works, if you will. I'm sorry, I diverted myself off the question.
No, that's perfect. That adds to what you already said about your experience in water. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen Hole, and my question is, what special qualities do you have that you believe will be helpful to the existing board and the district, and maybe expand in an area that you haven't commented on yet, since you have touched it?
Well, from what I've read and what I know is that there is a large business and agricultural background brain trust on the board right now. I think what I can mostly add to that is that I have business skills. I ran an engineering company for 31 years. I used to have to build the budgets, track the budgets, figure out when to cut back, when to add, how to plan, how to budget for expansion, how to move and shift when one field of engineering through political or economic reasons had to be curtailed back. So I think I bring a business side to it. I also bring the engineering side to it. So I think I can help there.
Thank you.
I want to follow up on personal goals since we're jumping around. Number 12.
Oh, you really are jumping around.
We're not gonna...
Jennifer loves it when we do this.
All control.
Yes, you have. Not surprising, this group.
But when the president suggests that I follow up, I will.
Right.
What are your personal goals for serving on the NID board?
Well,
actually for serving NID.
I'd like to assist with bringing a continuous and long-term source of water to the agricultural community, and to bring down the prices of those if I can, or at least bring down the rate of increases. Because I don't think we're going to be bringing down prices, but hopefully rates of increases. I'd like to make sure the ag community is taken care of. I'd like to, like I say, I enjoy a challenge, but I'd like to make sure the ag community is taken care of, and I'd like to figure out what we can do with what we have. I know that because of the perceived climate change that's coming through, which is showing its head, Lawrence Livermore Lab came out with a study that basically said in the next 50 years, they expect no snow in the Sierras to stick. So I think a grand challenge. This is a report that came out from a reputable government agency, whether it's a theory. Okay, I agree with you there. It's a theory, and a theory is nothing more than a thought that has not been proven wrong yet. But we have people saying stuff like that. And if we do have issues like that, then we may need to think about different ways to store water, deliver water that may be outside the current box that we're living in. I'd like to be involved in something like that.
Yeah. Ricky.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Well, I actually, now that you said it and kind of opened that door, I'd like to explore that just a little further. So I wrote this down. You said perceived climate change. What does that, can you expand on that? Does that mean that?
The climate is changing.
Okay.
What is causing it is what I'm getting to. We've had cycles throughout millennial that temperatures change dramatically. One of my favorite National Geographic articles was in the 1970s that showed a bar chart of, I'm sorry, they did an investigation where they drilled down into ice and into rock and sampled the air pockets in them. And they know by the carbon dating and the concentrations of different chemicals and elements in those gases what the average temperature of the Earth was at that time. And they found out that it's only been the last 10,000 years that we've got some stability. We've had wild swings for a long time. So It has changed, it will change, it keeps changing, but how we deal with it is what we need to take care of.
Have you had an opportunity to look at or familiarize yourself at all with our plan for water process? Because we did an extensive climate change element to the plan for water with science, data, engineers, ran the gamut of some very qualified folks. Have you had an opportunity to look at any of that?
I've done a 30,000-foot elevation look at
Yeah,
it.
that's fair.
And
Yeah.
I've been briefed at Ag Commission meetings
Mhm.
about it. I have not drilled down into it and seen what's happening there, but I look forward to doing so.
Yeah, should you join us, I would encourage you to look at that carefully.
Just a quick follow-up on that. I think the plan for water gave us a lot of benefits, and one of them is modeling.
Mhm.
That models climate change, but it's also probably better modeling than, well, we know it's better modeling than the state of California has. So it gives us some real data points to work off of. And you seem to be, you're driven by data.
I am a nerd, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, but it's also wise to make decisions on data, on what you're faced with, science, than some ideal or whatever that you can't connect the dots to get it done.
Correct.
And so I really appreciate that. And but the plan for water and that modeling is superb. So any more, Karen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions we got to cover here.
We're at full midnight.
So Earl, you've commented on the importance of the cost of water for agriculture. And I think all of us on the board really, we value the heritage and the impact, the positive impact agriculture has regionally. But it does make me take a step back the way you're framing it, because you haven't mentioned anything about treated water customers, and you haven't mentioned anything about the multitude of uses that transcend agricultural water. And that, so my question is, you have a large base in Placer County that is treated water.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the, what you're thinking about that? Because you've only focused on ag water for agriculture, and the majority of our water isn't used for that purpose. And certainly the majority of our customers aren't that aligned with what your interest is. So it does cause me a little bit of, so I just would like you to be able to broaden what you're saying to maybe reflect this broader view.
Right. Water is sold to treated water, and a lot of Lincoln uses that right now, and they will continue to use it and need more in the future. There's also the fish bypass water, which is required to keep things going and stuff of that nature. I fully support that. I think there's a balance there, and I think we can make that work. That's not a problem at all. The city of Lincoln also has wells off to the west that they're doing lots of groundwater pumping, as long as they don't hit the saltwater intrusion layer down there at about 200 feet. There's a price and a responsibility to make sure that all of your customers are served, whether it's ag, whether it's the fish, the nature, basically the salmon, trout, the fish, bypass, or the residential customers, the urban customers. And I know that's going to be it is a big market and will continue to be a big market that needs to be handled in a responsible way.
Do you have any strategies for that? I mean, and I'm not suggesting that you would, I'm just saying, do you have in mind any approaches that would to supporting this multitude of needs?
Yeah. I think I briefly came upon it, and maybe it can't ever come to fruition, but the tailwaters that we have right now are sporadic. You can't, in order to do a water transfer, it takes a lot of time. I understand that. You have to get the documents through the state and stuff like that. We don't have a reservoir out there, which we can, on the west end of Lincoln, or excuse me, the west end of the district, but to actually sell a couple acre feet or whatever the case might be. But if we were to work with, for instance, the city of Lincoln and do a recharge on that area over there by Markham Ravine or something of that nature. And that would offset what would have to be purchased or what could be purchased or what needed to be purchased, and they got credits for it. I think that could help with that whole strategy. We also have, I know that selling water to urban customers through a direct route is probably much more beneficial to them. But as ag keeps, as West Roseville keeps growing, I don't think we can, well, I don't know what the numbers yet, but I don't know if we can keep up with that. So I think they have to pump more. So I'm thinking that if we could add water to their aquifer, get a credit through Sigma, then we could actually help benefit on both sides.
Thank you.
I don't know if it can happen, but it's kind of one of those ideas I came up with.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky, right? You miss 100% of the shots you never take. Take it. Karen, any more?
Sure.
No, we'll keep going. But
I have one, yes. Earl, what do you think is your responsibility in representing the district versus representing constituents only?
Well, I'm kind of an analogy type guy. So I analogize things.
Analogize, okay.
Okay. And I kind of analogize the district as being the family. And you got to take care of the family. But your constituents is kind of like one of your children. And you need to take care of them too. But the health and the benefit and the support of the whole family can outweigh taking Johnny to soccer today because the family had to go grocery shopping. If that is a good or bad analogy, I don't.
I think it sounds pretty good. Thank you.
Before we do any more from us, public comment. Get the public in here so we can get, broaden the scope.
This is weird.
3 minutes only. No.
So I have the auspicious history of talking Earl out of running against me at the beginning of this term. Very formidable neighbor, business owner, very level-headed person. So he was my first call when I actually talked to him before I talked to you guys to see if he'd be interested. Watched him over the last couple of years with the Ag Commission. He does a very good job there. And I appreciate his background. As I mentioned, his level-headedness. I think he'd be a good representative for the rest of my former term, based on what South Placer had voted for, which was somebody who really took to heart that this is Nevada Irrigation District. I appreciate the questions around the bigger business, but at heart, that's what's important to me is a continued consumer, and I would welcome your acceptance of Earl's position.
Public comment, Debbie.
Debbie Titinci, Nevada County Farm Bureau. I just want to mention that I've spoken extensively with the board of Placer County Farm Bureau when they were twisting Earl's arm to apply for the position, and they fully endorse him. The entire board is behind this application. So being the sister organization, we are too, even though not formally. I did have a lot of questions about the business end and financial end, which I think Earl has answered. So, I'm really excited about the science and engineering end that he could bring to the board too. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Aaron?
Questions? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Hop up.
My name is Aaron Zettler-Mann. I'm the executive director of Circle, the South Yuba River Citizens League, one of the large environmental nonprofits in the area. And I appreciate what you said about needing to find solutions. We're, certainly on the same place there. And so I think my question is about how do you think about that need to find solutions as it relates to discussion, compromise, collaboration in a world where resources are changing, water especially, changing how it flows, when we're going to get it, the sort of annual and interannual hydraulic cycle, in a world where it is a sort of zero-sum game. There's a finite number of resources, and we've got to figure out how to allocate them. So how do you approach the idea of compromise, discussion, collaboration, that kind of thing?
Basically follow the data.
Whoop.
I'm sorry.
Into the
Sorry
mic.
about that. Okay. Hello. Basically, I try and follow the data. If we know we have a finite resource here, is that truly all the resource we have? Are there other options we can bring in? How do we distribute it? How can we augment it? What is needed to be done? What is the rules and regulations? What's the statutes requirements? What's the legal requirements? And what can we do to be a good neighbor? Every situation is unique. Every situation is different. And without good information, including sometimes eyes on the ground or boots on the ground to go out and see what's going on, you can't make a logical, concise, complete decision.
And so we have that data. I have a PhD in fluvial geomorphology, so I'm right there with you, very like science, hard data driven person. We have the data exists, and it's time to start having discussions and making hard decisions. How do you think about that process?
You basically have to lay out what your constraints are, what your...
More into the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm turning my head here to address you directly. You basically have to understand what you have, what your constraints are, and whether those constraints are physical, such as a mountain range, political, such as a minimum amount of discharge required for low water, or whatever it is. How do you work backwards or forwards, whichever it is, to get to a goal that solves the problem as best as you can, because there is no perfect solution ever.
Yeah, I think it probably gets easier when you have a specific problem.
Yeah.
Then keep it,
Concept.
Yeah. But I think the plan for water was a good example of how we operate. Everybody comes in, we talk. Let's find out what the problems are. Let's get the solutions. And it's all data driven. Any more public comment? I don't see any on the screen. All right, we may come back. Oh yeah, we're coming back to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're not
President.
done.
We're not done.
We have to, Earl was, any mandarin grower that's on the board of directors has to supply the.
That's right.
When they ripen.
Keep everybody healthy. All right.
So Earl, we NID have some extraordinary infrastructure challenges ahead of us. And my question to you is, do you have an opinion really about the infrastructure challenges that we face and the balance between a finite budget, capital improvements that we are required and we need to move forward with all the time, storage, and the infrastructure sustainability? It's like we've got a lot of spinning plates there and only a finite amount of money. So I'm curious what your opinion is, if you have one, about how to achieve some of those balances.
It's always a balance. It's always a balance, and it's a give and take. There are items you have to look at and say, what is the short-term and long-term risk here?
Mm-hmm.
And what are our vulnerabilities? We've had some serious fires along canals that have caused rock slides and mudslides into them. They were handled by different parties. The Powerhouse 1, Powerhouse 2 issues, and what I refer to as the Bowman barrel, but I know it's those are vulnerability issues that need to be hardened. I know that we have a lot of canals that need maintenance. I don't know if I need to get into the details before I can really start assigning things, but you have to do an overall assessment, assign priorities, assign risks and vulnerability to it, and figure out what you have for assets apply them, see if there's additional assets you can recover, whether it's through grants or new sources of revenue or what have you, and then apply it appropriately. We have a lot of vulnerability in this district, both from nature and from potential sabotage. And I think that needs to kind of be looked at also.
And government overreach.
But so I think you have to look at the data and work your way through it and assign what you have to do to get there. I don't know if that made sense or not, but we need to do the best we can with what we have. And intelligent decisions have to be made. Appropriate priorities have to be placed, and resources have to be appropriately allocated to do the best we can with what we have.
It's true. So it's about, in some ways, the risk reward,
benefit risk ratios, yes.
Those ratios, as you say. For instance, our South Yuba Canal is probably number one on our priority list at the moment.
Related to risk to water supply?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just located in extremely fire prone area.
Right. It's fire prone. It's, you just.
It's built in the 1800s.
Throw a dart, a dart at a dartboard, and there are all of those issues that.
It's pretty though.
Well, it is. It is called the flume of doom. That's how we. And it is also very pretty.
The national treasure.
Yeah.
Keeps on working.
Keeps on working. Well, thank you. So thank you for that answer. And I don't know if any other member wants to continue following up on that.
Just really quickly on our capital improvement program, the managing directors rank everything as to priority. And we go down and choose what is the highest priority and urgent to do with the money we have. And if it gets into a more risk than we're willing to accept, we're going to have to find other sources of money. It was pretty well driven by that, and it's a pretty good ranking system. Maybe the backbone extension program, but that's.
Knew it. We had to get that in, right?
Yeah, well, you'll hear more about that.
Yeah, you will be hearing more.
Every meeting.
But if I let the moment go by, then I, couldn't live myself. Anyway, but it's quite a nice ranking system and presentation, because when we can really get into each project, what are the risks? Why do we have to do it? Yeah.
Good. How many people it serves versus how many people it doesn't serve. I mean, there's a wonderful matrix that our extraordinary staff has come up with to help us make those decisions. And we're really fortunate that, they see sometimes what we don't see, and then they present it and so on. So yeah. It's very well done and very complex.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karen?
I'd like to ask what your understanding is of the job that's defined for a board director versus the job of versus the role of the management team at NID.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding and my opinion of what the board is supposed to do is they're supposed to establish and direct good policy. They're looking at it from a higher point of view to encompass all moving parts that may not be seen by some of the staff. Or if the staff can bring that to their attention. It is the staff's job to implement that policy, unless it gets to a fork in the road that a tough decision has to be made, in which time it should be brought back to the directors.
Thank you.
Follow up?
Well, I think I would just maybe observe that one of the challenges is that policy is set by the majority of, so everything is majority rules from the board point of view. And It can be frustrating for a director if their kind of internal clock is telling them they should be able to direct individually activities of the management team, because that's not how it works. Every board member has to agree on the direction, and as a majority, not that everybody agrees on everything, but we as individual board members do not direct management. So it's just a kind of a challenge that can exist if expectations are different when you come in as a board member.
I kind of thought I said that. I don't know if it came across.
It came across.
Okay, okay. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hired
This is a body here. This is not a bunch of individuals.
Right.
That's
The
correct.
decision made is the decision of the body, not of.
Right. We hire one person,
Mhm.
general manager.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the general manager then directs the management staff and all of the staff. So in the past, there have been some challenges with some board members.
The firewall is broken?
The firewall breaks and they will contact an individual staff member and say, I want this, or I want to see that, or I'm requesting this information. And that can cause problems. Those kinds of requests, everything must go through our general manager. That's the structure that we have here. And then she then, if there's an issue that needs to be looked at by the general board or by the board, if we're in agreement, then we go forward. If we're not, we hash it out. But it is not appropriate for any one of us to call Chip and say, hey, I want you to do this. That doesn't happen.
Understood.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
I think the other thing that is a reality is that the management team at the district will always know more than we do
Yes.
as individual board
Boy,
members.
that's the truth.
And respecting that knowledge and expertise is, I think, a key to feeling successful as a board member and then working with management. And it's not that we would always agree with them, but they bring in the information and facts, you're data-driven, that we rely on for our decision-making. And so it's just a kind of a reality of that relationship, is that their expertise is, to me, without question, what drives this organization.
A side story on that is that I've sat on thousands of drill rigs and I've drilled all over the state of California. And I was in charge of that drill rig as the engineer, sitting engineer. But the drillers would come up to me and say, I don't want to do it this way. I want to do it this way. And I'd say, explain it to me. And they would explain it to me. I says, that is a good idea. Let's continue. Or I'd say, no, that violates a regulation or a law or something that I cannot cross. Do you have a better idea? So I was one of the few engineers that the drillers didn't want to kill by the end of the job. So I'm always welcome to listening to better ideas, better ways of doing things, how to fix it.
You being here is an example of not being killed.
Exactly.
Chris?
I have no further question.
Ricky?
I've been tracking the questions. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jen.
yeah, I've been attempting to. It appears that most of the questions have been answered. You could potentially ask number 9, but he did answer a portion of it, and number 10, which also was briefly touched upon, if you wanted to expand on anything else.
Right. So you're on the Ag Advisor Commission for Placer County. I was on the Nevada County one for a long time. Different needs between Placer County and Nevada County. Some similar. It depends on what industry you're in. If you're in orchards, whether stone fruit or mandarins or whatever, you have a higher value crop. You need water longer in the season for the shoulder months, the fall, winter water, or for frost control, whatever. In Nevada County, a lot of livestock, Placer County too. the margins aren't there to support higher water rates. It's difficult. In the valley, what we've seen is, and I'm not a big fan of it, is that every low value crop is gone and every high value crop has been put in because water rates primarily, other considerations too. It's created kind of a monoculture that is, it's just, you know, you get boring, you fall asleep if you're mile after mile of almond trees. But here we have diversity, you know, a lot of wildlife habitat. I guess my question is, what are the needs of your district farmers, Placer County? How are we going to meet them in the future? How do we keep that diversity?
There's several farmers there. You have the rice farmers who need it at a certain time also. You have the row crops. There's not a lot of it left, I grant you that. You have some flood irrigation for hay. You happen to have the almonds or almonds, whichever way you want to refer to it as, there. You also have some of the ornamental things, the lavender farms and a few things of that nature throughout it. And then you have, of course, the constant supply, which is the urban, am I okay here? Okay. The urban demand. We also have some of the forestry stuff. There is some forestry in Placer County still. Not a lot, but there's still some forestry going. How would we plan for it? I think it's, once again, it's data driven. What are we going to do? What can we afford? I understand that the nut trees are the high value crop right now, and there's a lot of it going in.
Which ones?
Almonds are the high value crop. They're trying to get walnuts in there also. And
no, not anymore.
Which crop are we referring to then? Sorry.
Walnuts?
Yeah, the walnuts?
Yeah, China planted a bunch, and the market has been depressed for about 5 years, and it's going another 5 before it's ugly. And the almond guys last 3 years have been losing money, and the banks are foreclosing on almond land. You almost got me. Okay, almond land. rather than they're not carrying the farmers anymore.
Oh, okay.
On almond. So I would think Placer County's always had, much like Chicago Park, pears, peaches, persimmons, different things like that, where you really is a high value crop. Almond guys are just not making any money anymore.
Yeah, the Newcastle area does have some of the fruits in there. There's still a lot of nuts going in though.
Oh yeah, no, there's. I'm not going to say it. It's a crowd mentality.
Okay. Yeah,
neighbor planted almonds, I'm planting almonds. Well,
even
they both lose their shirt. Yeah.
So sorry, I tangented myself from the question again. Could you please repeat it?
Okay. No, I understand. I just love the diversity of this farming up here. And it's not monoculture, and it's really special. And my thing is, we got to find a way for farmers to make more money. And to me, that's diversity in crops and more local markets.
Well, that's part of the agritourism aspect of it also. I know I don't know Nevada County has a right to farm ordinance. Placer County does. Okay, good. So the farm stands, the value added crops, turning persimmons into a persimmon cookie or whatever the heck it is, that's how some of these farmers are going to actually be able to make it because of the regulations and all the issues that go with it. I have almost 100 permits on my property through the state and county. And some of them renew at $2,800 a year. So
you're doing it right. Agritourism. Placer County's doing it right.
So it's difficult, I understand, and it's very hard to navigate those waters. No pun intended. I'm sorry.
I have a couple other questions.
Yeah,
when you're
I agree.
done.
No, I have a thing against walnuts and almonds right now
Okay.
because they depress the value in the valley big time.
Okay.
Yeah, and they take a lot of water. So,
Hi. We
hello.
have a couple questions if I am permitted. Thank you. So we've had just really a luxury of having, three very experienced agricultural members on our board, which has been terrific. And so then you would be coming in as the fourth, and that's terrific too. However, I also want to have an understanding of your opinion of our watershed. We've talked a lot about rates and ag and crops and all those things, which are very important, but none of that water can get there if we don't take care of our watershed. Excuse me. And that sometimes requires the expenditure of resources. Excuse me. Sorry, everybody. So what can you say about your opinion or how you would care for our watershed or how you would support that?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. I know we have
sorry.
issues with infiltration in runoff, non-recharging and recharging of the aquifers up in the higher country based on when the snowpack is laid down and how dry the ground was before that. We have problems with thinning, not thinning enough sometimes. Some of the fires that come in give us the runoff that's sediment laden that plugs up streams and things like that. We have problems with pinch points to get water from one place to the other. So which area are you?
Well, I'm really talking about the overall health of the watershed. The forest thinning. Our amazing staff has undertaken a number of efforts for meadow restoration and those kinds of activities that are really hand in glove to keeping our watershed healthy and abundant. And again, that requires money, both grants and commitment from this board in our budget for helping to care for the watershed. So, it's much more than pinch points and aquifers. It is this broader, it's a much broader subject. And I would encourage you to maybe meet with some staff people and really become more familiar and also the excellent folks at Circle and other resource folks who can help maybe broaden your understanding of that. Because without a healthy watershed, there is no ag. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the truth.
I'm not familiar with Nevada counties. Efforts there. I know Placer County, the ag department has been able to get several grants to restore quite a few of the meadows and things up in the higher country. And that has been very successful at this point. I look forward to learning more about it.
Yeah, and under Greg's leadership and Monica's and other staff members, we have had a pretty robust watershed program, and I think there's room to do more. So that is just another aspect of all the work that we do here that is very important. So I'll say that and stop there. Then I have one other question that is kind of an elephant, or has always been an elephant in this room, and that is the issue of Centennial Dam. As you know, this board, what is the right word? I want to use the right word. Withdrew, thank you. We withdrew our the potential project for Centennial Dam as a storage project here. Have you had an opportunity to look at any of that, and do you have an opinion about whether you think that was a good idea, not a good idea? I'm curious what your thoughts are about it.
I'm a firm believer of additional storage is always good, but it may not be good for certain locations and certain resources spent. I have not gone into the budgets for Centennial. I didn't go into it too far because it is it's water under the bridge,
it's gone,
shall we say.
Right.
Yeah, the water rights have been forfeited.
No, that's really an important point. We never had them. So that's really an important point, because there was a narrative in the public that we gave up our water rights. Well, we never had them. They were never assigned to us by the state.
Okay.
And we were still in this very lengthy process, should we have pursued it, to try and get those. And there was no guarantee that we would. So it's really an important piece of the story to understand that those water rights were never assigned to this district. And you can't give up something or forfeit something that you didn't have.
Understood.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, because there's a lot of misunderstanding out in the public about that. And if you're going to join us, it's important that you know that. And boy, Jennifer and Dustin can fill you in on that as we go along.
We're always happy to help catch anybody up.
Okay. Basically, as I said, more storage, in my opinion, is always good. More conservation is good. Using water 3-4 times is wonderful. I don't know the specifics of this. I have 30,000 foot elevation review of it. So I refrain from commenting on something that I cannot defend.
Of course, I know that. And that's it. And I wasn't trying to be unfair. I was trying to get a 30,000 foot view of where you were at with regard to that.
And I understand that money cannot be spent twice. And you have to make the best decision with the best data you have,
right,
to help and to basically achieve the goals that have been set.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the most important part of it, is if the goal is to accomplish A, then this won't get us there. If the goal was to accomplish B, it would. So I cannot comment any farther than that. Like,
understood.
30,000 foot.
That's very fair. Thank you. You guys can continue on. I'm going to come back to something here in a minute, but I have to formulate my question.
I think so. We've touched on most of the agreed upon questions. Is there additional information or input you'd like from the public?
Yeah. Any
No,
more public comment?
I'm good. Thank you, Earl.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too.
All right. So no more public.
I have a question, Earl.
Sure.
I have to do this every time there's a vacancy. So I just want to confirm that you have the prerequisites for office on the NID board. So first, are you a landowner or a resident of Division 4?
Yes.
And are you a registered voter?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's the only two.
And
I'm also a customer.
You are alive, so
Okay.
I guess that's a requirement.
You have to ask that. Are you alive?
Is there any?
all right. So no more public comment. Everything's been said. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Earl to Division 4 on the NID board.
Thank you.
And I'll second that.
Thank you.
All right. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Very
thank
much.
you. All right. All right.
Susan, would you like to get a photo with Earl and the board?
Should I cover the bald spot?
I was just going to ask.
Oh, here,
Wait.
Earl.
We can
I got my hat
Want
over
it
here.
we can do the oath of office now in public as part of the meeting if you would like, or we can do that after adjournment. It's up to the board.
After, December?
No, after
Say that
this
again.
After this meeting's
I
adjourned.
think
So
we
we're
should
going to
do
do
it
it
now.
right now.
No, let's make it official.
I think we should make it official.
part of the
in
meeting?
public right
Okay.
now.
So we'll invite Chris to do that.
Well, she's gonna look for a photo op, so I'd rather not have him stand in front of the food.
When,
In front of the, I'm gonna have you use a microphone. They won't be able to hear you at home. Okay, so I'm gonna have you raise your right hand. Yes, switch hands. And repeat after me, please. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. Oh, let me get you again. Yeah. Check 1, 2. All right, we'll do this again.
I, Earl Stevens,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
which I'm about to enter.
Thank you.
All right.
You made it.
Whoa. Yeah.
I think she
already got it.
I think Susan,
You want it with the whole, Susan, do you want the whole? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do everybody.
Yep.
so what are we doing now?
Come up into
Right in front here.
Oh, okay.
dais.
I'm always the A lot of speeches going on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
You're on the board.
There's this chair right down.
Does he have a chair?
Go sit in the chair.
Yeah, we have a chair for you. Wait, is he leaving? We can't leave.
Yeah, Earl.
We're just adjourning.
Oh, we're done.
No.
I don't know.
A little more.
We have nothing
I'll
else.
go sit at the. So one last thing.
Earl, a couple more items. You want to come take your rightful seat? Yeah.
Here, we'll share.
We have president's comments. Is that what we have?
All right.
More comments.
So before we adjourn, I
Quickest
just,
job start on the planet, huh?
I know, here you are.
before we adjourn, any director's comments?
No, I had one, but no. Thank you.
I know. Go ahead.
We can count on you.
We had an election last night, and it would appear that Brad Fowler will be the new representative for Division 3. We don't know for sure, but it looks that way. So I wanted to say congratulations to Brad. I appreciate the multitude of experience, talent, and commitment that you bring to the position. So congratulations.
Here.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is that this has been a wonderful 4 years. And not really crying because I'm sad, it's because I just cry. So, but I have to say a couple things, and I think the staff know this. But I'm going to give an example. Recently, I had a customer call. He was just beside himself. He had an citrus orchard that he could not get the water flowing correctly in the system. And our staff went out and worked different solutions. And ultimately, they were able to connect him in a way that we're very optimistic that he will have water flowing to protect that orchard going forward. But to me, this exemplifies the commitment that NID staff have to our customers each and every day. And that next, I would just comment on, Jennifer says it all the time, we have the best management team ever. And you know, I worked with a lot of managers myself, and the level of expertise and commitment and just dedication, it's really at the very top. And then I tell my husband that NID is being driven by a general manager who is off scale awesome. And I said to him, I said, we're on like the Japanese bullet train, and Jennifer is in the front driving that train. And it, you know, it takes a crew and a team and a board to make it happen. But the level of change that's happened under Jennifer's leadership is absolutely astounding. And I will be forever grateful for your commitment and to all of you, really, all the staff, management, you're wonderful. And I know that Brad will come in with Earl and this, well, and I just want to say too to my board colleagues, you have been fun. I appreciate your intelligence. It's been a wonderful 4 years, and I am grateful for this experience. So that's it.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, Karen, you have brought a level of just freshness, new eyes looking at situations. How do you organize it? How do you get the job done? And just insights. Thank you. You're a very special person. And I guess Maury's going to be lucky to see more of you.
Yeah, he gets more dinners made, you know, hey, clean her house.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been great.
Yeah, thank you for your more than a contribution. Yeah, it made us all better.
Can I add? Alan, I want to add on here. So Karen, thank you. Thank you for the service to the district. Thank you to your extraordinary contributions to this board and to our staff and to Jennifer. Your knowledge of the business workings that you brought here have been, well, it's transformational. I've said that over and over, but it is really true. And I personally just cherish you as a friend and as a board member, and professionally just am in awe of your talent. And I am so grateful for your service. Thank you so much.
And the same for me, Karen. They've all said it all already. So, and being a person of few words, I don't have any more to add, but just really appreciate when you said fun. It has been fun. I mean, these jobs can be pretty gnarly, but you've always brought a smile to the board and a level of professionalism that can't be beat. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Yeah. No, thank you. So with that, we are adjourned. Yeah.